Hey, what is up, everybody? Cam Jennings here. Welcome back to Mesolimbic Marketing, and we are moving into step 3 of the Mesolimbic Marketing method. Let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Guys, we're going to be taking step 3 in 2 parts because it is a fairly large step. So we're going to break this into 2 videos. This is called adding to the conversation, and this is essentially where you're going to be actually creating your own piece of content. Up until this point, you've picked out an influencer, you've picked out a piece of content from that influencer, and now you're going to be creating a piece of content yourself that is adding to the conversation of that piece of content that you picked out. You're going to be adding to that conversation, right? So we're going to get into what you need to do, and I'm going to give you 10 examples of what I'm going to give you 10 examples. I'm going to explain to you how to do it in part 1. Then in part 2, we're going to give 10 examples of what it looks like. Okay, so very cool. So part 1, how to do it. Okay, so how to do it, we're going to do it in 5 steps, right? Step 1, you're going to shout out to the original content creator, right? We're doing this so that we can trigger the mesolimbic marketing effect later on. Okay. And when I say step 1, what I'm talking about is what we want in our content. Okay. These are the 5 steps to the content. Like if you're creating a video, like the first thing you want to do in that video is you want to shout out to the original content creator, right? The person you're basing this content on, you want to shout out to that person. That's the first thing you do in the video. If it's an article, the first thing you do is talk about what inspired this article, the person who inspired it, right? We're doing this so that we can trigger the mesolimbic marketing effect later on. Okay. Step 2, you want a brief recap of the original content, right? I'm making this article. It's highly inspired by this other article over here. What that article basically was about was doing this and this and this to get this result, right? Now, I want to dive further into this because I feel like I have something to add to the conversation. Boom. But basically, step 2 is a brief recap of the original content, right? Now, we're doing this so that our content will stand on its own. Even if the audience does not visit the original piece of content, our content will still stand on its own, right? Step 3, refer your audience to the original content for more detailed explanation of the original content, right? So when you do the brief recap of the original content, you make sure you tell them, hey, listen, if you're more curious about what happens in that original video or that original article, just go check that out. You can find it over there at their blog, or you can go find it at their YouTube channel. Do that, but don't drop a link. Don't drop a link right there in the video, or you know what I mean? Don't drop a link right there in the middle of the content to their thing. You want them to focus on your thing, right? If you're going to drop links to their stuff, put it down at the bottom, right? Put a link to their thing down at the bottom, right? Don't pull them away from your content. But anyways, the reason why we refer the audience to the original content, it's 2 reasons, right? First, it's going to reinforce the mesolimbic marketing effect because it's going to give you a chance to use the original content creator's name again, right? So, and second, it's going to give your audience a place to go to get more in-depth information about the subject matter. This in itself is seen as value, okay? So those are the 2 reasons we're doing it. But yeah, so that's step 3. Step 4 is you're going to go ahead and add your supplemental value, right? This is step 4. You're going to be adding your supplemental value to the content. So further the conversation of the original content, basically, right? Now in part 2 of step 3 over here, adding to the conversation, in part 2, we're going to go over some examples of how you can add your supplemental value. Right? Now, the supplemental value you're adding is the heart of your content. When you're creating this piece of content, this little step 4 right here, this is really the heart of the content, right? This other stuff, step 1, step 2, step 3, these are like, and really I say step, and they're kind of parts, right? Part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Part 4 is the big one. Part 4 is your content. This other stuff is kind of leading up to the main event of the content, right? Step 5 or part 5, Thank your audience for their time and attention. Tell them that you hope they found this content helpful and gotten some value out of it today. Tell them you will see them again in the next piece of content, you know, in the next video or the next article or whatever it is you just did for that content. Tell them you're going to see them in the next one, right? So look, here's why this messaging is important, right? In step 5, I'm going to say part 5. You know, we're going to call this part 5 instead of step 5 because I feel like that's a little confusing. We got 5 steps to mesolimbic marketing here, and now we got 5 steps to this one part, you know, and I don't like that. So let's go ahead and change that for everybody. Change these for everybody here. Part 5, part 4, part 3. Part 3. Part 2. Part 1. These are all parts to the same piece of content, okay? You're creating this content. The content has parts to it, right? I think that's a little better than steps. Okay, so anyways, why are we using this messaging right here? This messaging right here, why are we using it? Thanking them for their time, telling them they hope you found some value in this content, tell them you're going to see them in the next one. Why? Okay, so when you thank your audience for their time and attention, it's going to build rapport with them, okay? When was the last time you ever thanked anybody for something and they got mad at you for it? Like if you thank someone for their time and attention, you're acknowledging that they spent time and attention on you, right? You're acknowledging that, right? And that's a very thoughtful thing to do. So that's going to build rapport. It's going to make them think that you're a little bit more classy. You recognize what they've done, okay? When you tell them that you hope this content has helped them in some inherently trust people more when they are predictably around. Think about it. If you were a manager and you had a couple of employees and one of them was an average employee that did decent work, but he always showed up to work on time and he never complained and he did just a normal, good, average job, but he was always there, right? You could count on him. Right. And then you had another employee who was like a superstar. Whenever he was there, he was amazing. But the problem was he was always coming in late. He was always calling off sick. Which one are you going to trust more? Which one are you probably going to, promote to man? Become better at? Or do you promote the person who you can't trust to come to work on time and they call in sick too much? I mean, I think we all know we're going to like the person who's consistent a little bit more, right? So when you tell them you will see them in the next one, when you tell them, these kinds of things, you're implying you're going to be around in the next one. You're going to be around consistently, right? And that goes a long way. So that's why you use this kind of messaging in part 5. So those are the 5 parts to the content, right? So that's how you do the mesolimbic marketing content, right? The 5 parts. Now I want to show you some examples of those parts, but I'm not going to do it in this video. I'm going to go ahead and save it. We're going to take this to a part 2. And I'm going to show you some examples, okay?